Jack Joyce!
It has been 28 years, 1 month, and 29 days as of writing the script since the original Predator movie hit cinemas worldwide. Directed by John McTiernan, who, as an aside, served time in a federal prison between April 2013 and February 2014 for perjury, and starring 80s film icons Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger, alongside future Iron Man 3 and The Predator director Shane Black. Predator rode the coattails of the successful Alien franchise and revolutionized the alien slasher subgenre with its compelling cast, grisly violence, and commentary on masculine identity and war. Since then, the franchise has blossomed into a series of spin-off and tie-in comics, video games, 2 direct sequels to the original film, a series of crossover films to the Alien franchise, where Yautja warriors fight xenomorph hordes, and a soft relaunch in 2018's The Predator, all amounting in mixed reception from general audiences and critics at best. As a fan of the franchise, it has been a shame to see such mediocre releases for what I consider to be one of the most interesting sci-fi film universes, and I was especially skeptical when Disney took the reins after the Disney 20th Century Fox merger. Thankfully, we've seen a return to form during the Dan Trachtenberg series of films, with the Disney Plus Hulu exclusive Prey exceeding expectations, providing a jumping on point for newcomers for the franchise, and a return to form for longtime fans. Trachtenberg followed up the successful relaunch of the Predator series with Predator Killer of Killers, an animated feature where 3 separate Yautja each face off against one of history's greatest warriors. The film successfully built off of the foundation of 2010's Predators and teased an upcoming reunion of some of the previous protagonists of the franchise, coming out of their respective points in time to once more face the unstoppable killer that hunted them all those years ago. With all this in mind, one can imagine I was rather excited for the release of Predator Badlands, Trachtenberg's 3rd entry into the series and his first cinematic Predator release. Thankfully, I can say with certainty that Trachtenberg has once again delivered an enjoyable Predator experience. However, I must admit that I believe this latest outing to be the weakest of his films so far. Don't get me wrong, it has some gorgeous shots, the visual effects are incredible, as I've come to expect from 20th Century Studios films at this point, and I like the main cast of characters well enough. Unfortunately, I just couldn't shrug off the fact that in a movie called Predator, not once was there any hint of an appearance from somehow still famous real-life Predator, Jared Leto.
Sausalito, turkey, honey, ham, and salami. Pepperoni, provolone, pastrami.
For those of you who haven't seen Predator Badlands, I will quickly mention that there will be light spoilers for the film in this video, so if you are intending on seeing the film for yourselves before you see anybody talk about it, this is your spoiler warning. Personally, regardless of anything negative I have to say about the film, I do highly recommend seeing it. It's a lot of fun. It's just not particularly something I love in a Predator movie. With that out of the way, to briefly summarize the plot of the movie, Predator Badlands follows Dek, played by Demetrius Schuster Kola-Amatangi, who just might be a contender for having the coolest name anyone has ever had, and I'm very sorry if I butchered that. Dek is a Yautja runt who has yet to prove himself to his clan as a capable hunter, a grave concern for him and his elder brother Quay, as Yautja clans cull their weaker members to further strengthen their clan. When their father and leader of the clan, Nyor, demands that Quay execute Dek, Quay refuses and is subsequently killed by Nyor, but not before sending Dek away on his chosen hunting ground, the planet Genna, to deliver the head of the dreaded Kalisk, a fabled creature that no Yautja has managed to kill, and earn the favour of the clan. On his journey, Dek is joined by Thea, a wayland-yutani synthetic, badly damaged and separated from her scouting party, and Bud, who we later find out is a baby Kalisk, who imprints on Dek after the two save each other's lives. I'll start by praising the things I did enjoy about the movie. Bearing in mind, I enjoyed myself for the most part, all things considered. The film's visuals are great. I love the unique landscape and contrast between the barren Yautja Prime and the lush rainforests and marshlands of Genna. The colour grading felt purposeful and vibrant, which is something pretty rare for many major studio films nowadays, particularly under the Disney umbrella, and the visual effects for the most part are pretty solid. This is the first time a Predator has had to speak using its own unique language, so the visual effects team ended up working with Steven Spielberg himself to get a better understanding of how the Yautja faces work practically, how its outer mandibles and inner mouth produce sound and communicate, etc. The Predator faces in the movie are also digitally composed onto the actors' faces as opposed to being practical masks and prosthetics, as in the previous Predator films, and the effect is hardly noticeable. I like Elle Fanning, who plays Thea, in basically everything, and she does an excellent job in a dual role as Thea and Tessa, the film's eventual antagonist. It's been a weirdly big year for actors doing dual roles in the same film, and I don't particularly think that Elle Fanning is the best of the year or anything, but I think it's still worth commending. It was interesting to finally see a film that directly confirms and features the Wayland-Yutani Corporation from Alien that isn't a crossover, and I was personally a big fan. I like to think of Alien and Predator as two separate film universes united in that they each contain a Wayland-Yutani Corporation, and the fact that xenomorphs exist in the Predator universe and the Yautja in the Alien universe, but they're simply two separate alien species to each other, and neither one is particularly special to the other, obviously not including the AVP films and comics. It allows each franchise to still be connected without feeling like they must share some wider narrative. And because somebody will mention it to me if I don't mention it here, I am aware that Alien and Predator technically loosely connect to Blade Runner, Firefly, and Soldier, but those are more Easter eggs than direct connections. Regardless, I still headcanon Alien, Blade Runner, Predator, and Soldier to be one connected universe, and you can't stop me. I liked most of the creature design, and I loved the idea of the galaxy's greatest hunter being stranded in a hostile land, becoming the prey for once in a nice twist on the genre. That's clearly a lot to love about the movie, and I certainly wouldn't want to detract from someone who does enjoy it more than I do, but if all I had to say about Predator Badlands was, it's pretty good, there wouldn't really be much of a video, would there? It's certainly not a perfect movie. As for the not so good stuff, starting with the Yautja material, I'm of two minds about it. On the one hand, getting to see Yautja Prime and hearing the titular alien species referred to as the Yautja in the film was nice, but I personally feel that a lot of the mystery and the horror of the creatures is stripped away when you explain too much of their lore. The Predators are compelling antagonists and sometimes even protagonists because of their mysterious nature. They are clearly the most capable hunters in the universe, but they have a code of honor. They will strip the skin from the most skilled military veterans and string their corpses up in trees, but they won't dare attack an unarmed combatant. They are stronger, faster, and have better technology than humans do, but they choose to cloak themselves amidst the backdrop and pick off their prey one by one. For years, all we knew about the Predators was that they lived for the thrill and honor of the hunt. They roam the universe for the ultimate prey to conquer, and somehow they keep ending up on Earth. And really, what more do you need to know? I do understand it's easier for a mainstream audience to relate to Yautja protagonists if they know more about them and their culture, however I was a little disappointed by how much we do end up learning. Most of the fight choreography once we arrive on Genna is quite good, however our first and last fights on Yautja Prime feel a little bit weightless and they lack impact. Deck and Quay move gracefully and utilize their surroundings and a multitude of weapons while sparring, but it feels more like watching a well-choreographed stunt performance than the intense sparring match it's meant to be. Badlands does wear its influences on its sleeve as well, which I can appreciate, but it gets a little too noticeable at some points. The opening is very reminiscent of Denis Villeneuve's Dune films, down to the blasting alien horn over a black screen with religious doctrine, opening to an establishing shot from a cave overlooking a desert. The final battle is very obviously inspired by Ellen Ripley's confrontation of the Alien Queen in Aliens, putting Tessa in a similar mech suit to battle Deck, and I can see what they were going for, but it just doesn't really work for me. Much of the film was also filmed in New Zealand, with many panning shots being reminiscent of The Lord of the Rings and the new Hobbit films, to the point where I felt like saying, alright man, we get it, I watched the movies too. It's more of a nitpick than anything, but it felt distracting, and in a medium that lives and dies on audience immersion, I don't love that feeling. Thea and Tessa, Elle Fanning's characters, are the only two synthetics who are given any priority in the script, which is disappointing when they initially land with a fleet of synthetic companions to capture the Callisk for study by the Wayland-Yutani Corporation. I understand that they serve less as characters and more as goons for the Predator to massacre in the final battle, but I guess I just prefer it when I care about the Predator's victims. Even getting to see one of them act insufferable throughout the movie to give us a satisfyingly brutal demise would have been a fun addition, but I suppose the filmmakers wanted to go a different direction. Deck and Thea's alien companion Bud was cute and all, but I just don't really love the idea of a Yautja having a cute little animal companion. It's not my cup of tea. On that note, I do like that Deck has to reluctantly accept help from Thea to survive the wilds of Genna, but I do wish he himself was a little bit more capable on that survival side of things. He's certainly a killing machine, there's no doubt about that, and kill he does. but until the end of the movie, Deck is reliant on Thea to guide him through the traps and dangers of getting to surface. Personally, I would have liked to see him reluctantly learn to be more patient and resourceful as the film progressed. There's a scene where Deck and Thea need to navigate through a field of razor-sharp grass, and when they're trying to walk through, Deck cuts his hand. I would have liked it if Deck took his sword and used it to cut his way through the grass, or perhaps use the flattened trail of another rhino-like creature they come across to navigate his way through. Instead, we do see Deck using his environment effectively once it's time to kill those creatures, but outside of killing things, he's a bit simpler than I'd like. Being fair to the film, Deck is meant to be inexperienced and brash and in over his head in a world that's foreign and alien to him, but I would have liked him to have caught on a little bit faster as all, adapting a bit more, like the Predators typically do. But being fair again, he's not the typical Predator. There's a conversation that happens around halfway through the movie where Thea and Deck discuss the idea of being an alpha in a pack, and Thea equates alphas to wolf packs. Being fair again, it's effective in what it wants to say, that being, the alpha isn't the best at killing, but the wolf that does the best to provide for the rest of the pack. It's what Deck's arc ends up being about. But the concept of alpha wolves was debunked by the same zoologist who published it, and that just kinda irked me a little bit. Some of the dialogue felt very reminiscent of something you'd hear in the MCU or The Mandalorian, and that might be my biggest issue with the movie. As much as it makes the film more accessible to those audiences, I would rather the Predator franchise not become another Mandalorian Grogu, a gruff, quiet badass who makes occasional quips escorting a quirky alien sidekick on a wacky space adventure. The film is rated M in Australia, so from American audiences that would be PG-13. And they got that rating because there's no actual humans in the film, so whenever the Predator does any killing, it's all, alien goo and synthetic body parts as opposed to real blood and gore. So overall, it's a more family-friendly outing for the franchise than at least what is typically expected, which is nice, and it's good to have so that you have some appeal to wider audiences, but it just doesn't feel all that true to the Predator series if we can't see the ultimate killer let loose amidst an unsuspecting populace. But you'll notice that I've mentioned my tastes a lot, and truth be told, I believe that's the only actual issue I have with Predator Badlands that doesn't boil down to anxiety for the future of the franchise or nitpicking. As much as it sucks, Badlands just wasn't a film targeted towards me, and that's fine. I see it as the kind of movie a parent could take their young teenage children to watch, to introduce them to a film series they loved when they were younger, and kids to see an alien badass learn how to be a hunter and how best to take care of his family, found or otherwise. The Predator film series has been around since the 80s, and there are 7 mainline movies, 2 Alien vs Predator movies, and countless comics to dive into. Regardless of how I feel about it, franchises move forward, and that's okay. I still have the original material to go back to whenever I want, and as long as the current movies are still good, there's nothing more I can really ask for. I might not have loved Predator Badlands, but that doesn't necessarily mean other people won't, and I encourage all of you to go see it in cinemas if you want to go see it. It might not be the Predator movie for me, but it might be the one for you. If I do have to give it a rating, I guess I'd give it like 3 out of 5 stars personally. It's good. It's definitely an enjoyable movie. It's just not the one that I wanted to see. With that all being said, I am very excited to see where Dan Trachtenberg takes the series going forward, and I do hope that the Predator films continue to be staples of the genre. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching to the end. It's a bit of a shorter video today, I know, but I really appreciate you guys watching it. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a like, tell your friends to give it a watch, and leave your thoughts down below in the comments if you think I'm wrong about something. And while you're here, why not subscribe? I also play video games with my friends, I do some live action skits sometimes, and a whole variety of other stuff, so there's definitely something you're going to enjoy here. With that being said, I do hope you enjoyed the video, I hope I get to see you in the next one, I hope you have a good afternoon. Bye bye now.